Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, wherever you're listening to this webinar from. My name is Nadine Bowles-Newark, and I'm here with my colleague Stephen King. We work at the United Nations Environment Programme World Conservation Monitoring Centre in Cambridge in the UK. We're both in the Ecosystem Assessment and Policy Support Programme. And today we're going to be speaking to you about two of the projects in our portfolio that we're working on currently in Uganda. Both of these projects aim to provide targeted biodiversity information for national decision-making processes. One of them is supported by the GEF and the other one is by the Darwin Initiative, but both are linked and have similar aims and objectives. So both of these projects explicitly recognise biodiversity as an essential part of Uganda's natural capital stock. The flow of benefits from these stocks of biodiversity include provisioning services like foods, medicines and other products, recreational and tourism opportunities, national emblems and other cultural services. The sustainable use and management of these stocks of biodiversity is fundamental to maximising economic growth and human well-being in Uganda over the medium to long term. And you can't manage what you don't measure. So these projects seek to address this by raising awareness of and integrating the value of biodiversity into Uganda's economic development and environmental planning. Our experience in mainstreaming and in biodiversity information management has taught us that supporting national decision making is not just about providing more or better data. It's about targeting those decisions that directly impact on the sustainability of natural capital and finding those entry points for biodiversity information. It's about making data available through strengthening sharing platforms and databases. And it's about understanding the decision-making context and the constraints that are put on decision makers and the frameworks they work within in their day-to-day work. These issues in moving from data to decisions are fundamental to both of these projects. The first project that we're going to talk to you about today is the Connect project. This is a global project funded by the Global Environment Facility. It's worth $5 million over 4 years. It's taking place in 3 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana, Mozambique and Uganda. And our partners in Uganda are NEMA and the National Planning Authority. We have multiple partners across the world as well. This project is designed to achieve a balance of deep interventions in a small number of countries with broader engagement and showcasing at that global level. The components of the project are first to understand the in-country demands for and the barriers to using biodiversity information within government decision-making, including clarifying the format, timing and packaging of information required. The second component is to mobilise and repackage existing biodiversity information from a range of sources to meet a number of these demands. And then finally, to strengthen the connection between government decision makers and biodiversity and ecosystem service data providers in order to sustainably provide policy relevant, spatially explicit information and meet ongoing national needs.
So the second project is the Darwin Natural Capital Accounting Project, and this project is working to integrate natural capital into sustainable decision making in Uganda. It's working with the National Planning Authority, the National Environmental Management Authority and the Ugandan Bureau of Statistics in Uganda. And it's structured around 4 main components. The first is to build awareness of biodiversity related natural capital and the benefits it provides. In the second phase, we've developed an accounting approach that is specific to the needs of Uganda. The third phase of the project is now to create the communities of practice to implement the accounting approach, compile the accounts and establish a regular production process, as well as building the capacity of people to use the accounts in their decision-making processes. In the final phase, we move to institutionalizing the accounting approach, working with key sectors to use the information the accounts provide to inform their sector development strategies. In terms of responding to the policy demands, for natural capital accounting, the Darwin Project is really structured to address three key policy documents for development in Uganda. This includes the Uganda Green Growth Development Strategy, which identifies natural capital and sustainable exploitation of natural capital as a key driver for improving livelihoods, addressing poverty and alleviating poverty, and for more formal economic development in Uganda. In addition, the National Development Plan has identified a natural resources-led economic development that draws on biodiversity-related natural capital and other natural capital assets as a means of improving incomes and job creation. And then finally, the Uganda National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan also explicitly recognises the role for biodiversity accounting in the sustainable use of biodiversity in the country.
Similarly, the Connect project identified the National Development Plan as a key entry point for biodiversity information. And also in terms of their wider land use planning, and specifically in terms of their agriculture sector strategy and development plan, which is under development, including identifying areas how they can increase their production for cash crops and improve their regulation of application of agrochemicals, and also regulation of exploitation of fisheries resources. So in order to furnish this demand through the Connect project, one of our key partners, Mike Gill, developed this workflow. This visualizes how the data flows from a raw format and from the data sources through to various systems of analysis and modeling. Which data hosting platforms are used then make up parts of this puzzle, and then this flows through to the information products, which are the outputs of both of these projects. The Connect project specifically will develop time series biodiversity indicators, which track progress towards national and sector specific targets. It'll also produce integrated spatial data layers for land cover maps, including biodiversity hotspots, threatened ecosystems, and threatened species outside of protected areas. It'll also produce information for policy briefs on the supportive and regulating ecosystem services on agricultural production and economic growth that feed into specific decision support tools for various sectors.
Within this diagram as well, we can see in the analysis and modelling column that the SEER EEA is identified. This is the statistical standard for natural capital accounting, specifically for ecosystems as natural capital assets. And we can see that linking in the information products to these natural capital accounts on ecosystem asset health. And this is what we're trying to develop under the Darwin Project, to get these biodiversity related natural capital accounts being compiled on a regular and consistent basis to provide time series information both on the condition of ecosystems as well as the species they contain, but also the benefits that people in Uganda receive from them. And the idea is that that can then be used to support decision making around national development, but also for direct reporting for the state of the environment reporting, but also for tracking SDG targets and progress towards them. So why use the system of environmental economic accounting as a natural capital accounting framework? Well, this has been developed to provide a standardized statistical information system for natural capital accounting. So by using standard terms, classifications and measurement boundaries, such as the stated ecosystem typology, with defined accounting periods and defined spatial boundaries, and making links explicit to formal economic units, the SEER then allows for multiple data on ecosystems to be organised and also integrated with economic and wider social economic statistics that statistical agencies routinely produce. And so from this gambit of statistical information that we see on the left-hand side of this diagram, because of this coherence, we can now build a coherent picture of ecosystems and the interactions between ecosystems, society, and the economy. And this allows us to inform a more integrated approach to economic and land use planning, the better considers biodiversity and the environment alongside economic development and social well-being. For example, by combining data on poverty and ecosystem service supply and use, we can identify where ecosystem investment will have the greatest social returns. Or by combining information on condition with environmental expenditure, we can start to understand what the returns on ecological investments might be. So economies and societies depend on many different natural capital assets for a whole host of different benefits. And this is what this diagram is trying to identify here. And accordingly, understanding the stocks of these different assets and recording these different benefit flows is going to require that multiple different natural capital accounts are produced. And so there's actually a number of different accounting initiatives ongoing in Uganda, and this diagram is trying to show how the thematic focus of the Darwin Project on biodiversity-related natural capital fits in with other ongoing initiatives to develop natural capital accounts in Uganda, notably around water and energy, under the auspices of UBOS, obviously, but with support from the UN Statistics Division. And then land, forest and biomass is also being considered via the World Bank WAVES project. And the Darwin Project aims to complement this by providing accounts more linked to ecosystems and species and these components of biodiversity. And it's important to stress that because all these accounts are being developed using the same CF framework, the information on all these different accounts can be integrated with each other, and this can help inform on planning around synergies, trade-offs, and these more holistic approaches to development. So really zooming in now on the specific themes of the Darwin Natural Capital Accounting Project, in consultation with stakeholders and our partners in Uganda have identified these three themes of land degradation, so understanding really the evolution of soil fertility, and the implications for agricultural production in Uganda. The second theme being fisheries, to organise information on declining fish stocks and understand what the implications of this might be for exports and the earnings that come with exports, and also for the livelihoods of Ugandans. And then the third theme is really an integrated account around biodiversity and tourism that aims to organise data on the major tourism sites in Uganda, as well as the species that people are visiting those sites to view. And the idea is this will highlight the value of tourism expenditure related to these iconic species in Uganda. So the progress so far in the Darwin Project, we've established what the user needs and the accounting outputs should be to best meet these needs in Uganda. We've developed a set of method notes which take the CF framework and provide a more detailed methodology for application in Uganda across these three accounting themes. We've used one of these to develop a set of indicative biodiversity and tourism accounts, and now we have three national consultants working on compiling these accounts and creating the institutional links between data providers and the Bureau of Statistics. And this is the website, the bottom of the slide for the project, and we have all our outputs posted up there if you want to know more details about the specific accounting approaches and how they're being compiled, and if you want to look at previous work in Uganda on ecosystem accounting, we also have that hosted at that website.
And so progress so far in the Connect project is that we have undertaken a political economy analysis in collaboration with our key partners IIED. And we've also undertaken a review of biodiversity information, of the information landscape in Uganda and in each of the countries. Through this, we've identified the key decision points, and then at the present time, we are co-developing these biodiversity information products that you saw in the workflow slide with the users of those products. Again, here is the website for Connect Project if you'd like to have further information and look at some of our outputs so far. In terms of next steps for Connect, we will be co-developing in an agile way the biodiversity information products. We'll be putting in place agreements between data users and data providers for the use of those products over the long term. We will be creating a political strategy for rollout of the products and also for the use and embedding of products into the decision-making processes. And we will be producing user guidelines, capacity building, and importantly, e-learning materials about development of these information products that will be available to a wider audience.
In terms of the Darwin project in Uganda, the next steps are now to finalise the accounts for the 3 themes, which should occur over the next few months. From that, we will then have a series of capacity building workshops that will be training people in Uganda on the production as well as the use of these biodiversity related natural capital accounting products. And we hope to also capture those in a way that can be shared remotely. And then in the final stage, we will take these accounting outputs and work with a specific sector on a detailed application of the information they can contain and how that can inform their development planning. And this will be around the sustainable use of biodiversity related natural capital and using these natural capital stocks to unlock livelihood opportunities in Uganda. So thank you very much for joining us for this presentation. We hope you enjoyed it and we look forward to rejoining with you at the webinar.